we have to do is we have to find a particular string, whether this particular string is present in that set of strings or not. So like any of you can unmute and like discuss the approaches that come to you. Like if you already know try, then don't talk about try, but other approaches that you can think of. You're given a set of n strings and you have to find whether a particular string is present in those set of strings or not. So you can write in the chat the complexity or the method you're thinking, or unmute yourself. Like even the brute force works. So anyone can tell the brute force method for this. Okay. देख लो यार, कुछ बोल लो, आगे डिस्कशन में अच्छा रहेगा, नहीं तो चलो I'll continue. So basically the brute force method to find the string is like you traverse each and every string, and when you are, let's say, the ith string, you compare each and every character, and in the worst case you'll have to compare all the characters. So that operation will constitute order m, and since you have n such strings, so the complexity of that search would be order n into m. So to improve upon that, we have a couple of improvisations. First is balanced binary search trees. So have you guys heard about balanced binary search trees? Okay, yeah. So Aditya Trivedi is saying, yeah, it's absolutely correct. The brute force way is order of word length into word to be searched length. Yeah. So that would be the complexity. This is order n into m in the worst case. So now, to improve upon this, we have something called balanced binary search trees. So if anyone of you knows what is balanced binary search trees, like, can you give me the complexity of searching a particular string if we have all the initial strings given to us arranged in a balanced binary search tree? Like AVL and red black tree, these are the two balanced binary search trees. If you guys don't know about what a balanced BST is, so like you must know about what a binary search tree is, right? So balanced BST just ensures that the height of the left side of the tree and the right side of the tree at max differ by 1. So okay, yes. So Dhruv is saying log of num of words into word of length. So how this complexity comes is basically balanced BST ensures that the height of tree is order of log of n. So that way, every time you have to search for, compare that particular string, you would require order m operations, and at max you will have to search for order of log n strings, like compare with order of log n strings. So that's why the complexity comes out to be word length into log of num of words. So that is some improvement over the brute force, but we can do better. So another technique that we use to find such string is we use hashing. So we all know like how hash tables work, right? Okay, so balanced BST, how we'll use it. So let's say we initially have like nothing in that balanced BST. So we have all the strings given to us. We insert them one by one. So let's say I insert not the query strings. I'm talking about the initial set of strings given to me. So I insert the first string in the balanced BST, then the second, and this way I insert all the n strings. So this process, like insertion part, the complexity of this I'm not considering, because like I should have framed my question better. We'll have multiple queries of finding a particular string, like let's say thousands or 10,000s of such queries. So what we want is we want to minimize the time for making that query, like finding the answer to that particular query. So all the initial pre-processing, I am assuming, okay, we can take some time for the initial pre-processing, but the final query time, that is the like what we aim to reduce. So how balanced BST will work here is we insert all the strings in balanced BST, and like BST ensures, right, that on the left side we'll have a smaller value and on the right side we'll have a bigger value compared to the root. So while we are searching, how we'll do is, let's say we compare our string to the root value, the root string which is there. And if we get that my particular string which I'm searching is greater than the root string, and greater by mean is like I can compare the ASCII values. So by that, I can be sure that like if my string is greater, then I have to go to the left, right? Yeah, one word per node. One word per node. So that's why at every point we'll have an order m comparison. So accordingly, we can go to left or right, and like at max, we'll have log n comparison, and hence the complexity is log n into n. So coming to hashing now. So hashing is another way in which we can reduce the complexity. So here also, like the pre-processing, what we'll need is all the input strings we are given, we'll like take a hash function and hash each of the particular strings and insert it in the hash table. So this way, and for collisions, like we can have chaining or something like that. So that is up to you how you implement hash tables. Like, so we have all the strings hashed in our hash table. Now, whenever we have to query for a particular string, what we'll do is we'll hash that particular string, and we check in, like we get the hashed value, we check in the hash table whether this particular hash value has a string in it or not. If it does not have, we can simply say that string is not present. But if it has, so one thing, like even though if we use a good hash function, the probability is less, but we can still have two strings coming to the same hash value even if they are different, right? So what we do is, like once we know that a particular hash value has some of elements, so we'll have to traverse each of those elements if we are using chaining for handling collisions, right? So that way, like although like if we consider the average case or even like worst case, it usually will go just the hashing part is what will constitute to the complexity part. But still there can be some problems, like I mentioned, in the cases of collisions or in cases of when there's a chain of strings mapping to the same hash value. So in that case, the complexity can increase. But if we consider an average case, so it will be order of m. We just have to hash that particular string, check if that hash value has that is like 1 or 0, and then simply return whether the string is present or not. So the complexity of this would be order m, but like I mentioned, there will be some issues still remaining. So trie is a data structure which is used to overcome these issues, and like it is used generally used for information retrieval only. Like we are initially given a set of like our alphabets, dictionary, everything, and we have to find whether a particular string or a particular element is present there or not. So how trie work is basically as follows. So let's look at, so for simplicity, I'll consider only a to small z letters. So if I consider index, so this would be 0 index and this would be 25. So you can extend it to 128 or 256 characters very easily. So how a trie would work is we'll maintain an array of size 26, and what each element of this array represents is it's a pointer to a similar array of its kind. So if you look, let's say at this particular element, we store a pointer which is a pointer to another array of size 26, which is of similar type. So like, so how does this help us is like as follows. So let's say I have initial set of strings. These are the initial set of strings I'm given: banana, bat, bantner, boy, and cat. And these are the two query strings. We have to search if bat is present and we have to search if ban is present. So firstly, we'll have to create a trie with the initial set of strings that are given to us. So how we do that is, initially, all the elements in the array are null. So let's say we have a root pointer. So you all know like how trees work, right? It's pretty much similar to how trees work. It just the difference is that here we have a size 26 node rather than a single node. Like that's the only difference we have. So a root pointer is pointing to the initial array of size 26. And let's say I have to insert banana. So initially all of them would be null. So n is basically denoting null. So all of the values will initially be null. And then what we'll do is we have to insert banana. So 0 denotes A, 1 denotes B, 2 denotes C, and so on, right? So for banana, we'll have to make this not null. So we'll remove the null part from here and initialize this pointer to another such 26 size array. So this will be pointing to this particular array. Now the next letter we have to insert is A. So how this will work is, here also initially everything would be null. So like what we'll do is we'll go to this particular index. Since we have to insert an A, we'll remove this null and make this pointer point to another 26 size array. Okay. So like ignore the drawing, but you get the gist, right? So this way we can have the entire banana with us. So similarly, if we have to insert bat, now see, like when we have inserted banana, B is already pointing to this particular array, A is already pointing to this particular array, then here somewhere at position N there would be another array. So this is already established. Now when we have to insert bat, all we have to do is, like, initially we know that B is already initialized to this particular array, so we don't need to reinitialize it or change it. We can simply go here, then we see that A is also initialized. Okay, so no worries, we don't have to do anything, we just go here. Now here we see that we next have to initialize the letter T. Here N is initialized, but T is still set to null, right? So what we have to do now is T would be somewhere here, right? So we again have to go ahead and initialize, change this to T. Okay, so like if you have any doubts, you can unmute, right? Okay. Is this part clear, like how we are inserting in a try? So similarly, we can insert Bantner, boy, cat. For cat, if you will see, you can see that C is already null. So from here only we'll have to create a separate array of size 26. So here we'll create another array, and this again, after this we'll create another array from A and so on. So this is how the insertion part will work. Like to understand this better, I'll basically try to code it and will be more intuitive, I think. So I declare a try node, and like I mentioned, we'll have a pointer of size 26. Now while initializing, right, so I'll initialize everything to null initially. Now how insert will work is, I'll keep a try node root initially. So in my main, I'll just initialize root to new try node, right? So now let's look at how insert will work. So I'll be given a word which I have to insert in my try. So I'll take my try node, which is my current node, and I'll initialize it with root. Now, like I have to go ahead and keep on checking whether this particular letter in the word. So I have to insert it letter by letter, right? So I'll traverse the word. And what would be my index for the particular letter would be word of I minus A, right? This is clear, right? So now I have my index. Now what I need is, I need to check if it's already null or not. So if kernode, I'm sorry, I had to declare this as a pointer. So this is a pointer to the root, right? So if kernode array I is basically equal to null, it means it has not been initialized yet. Like we were inserting banana, so we see here that B is not initialized. So what we'll do is kernode array I will now basically point to a new try node, and yeah, so it will basically point to a new try node, and we'll update kernode. And in case it is already initialized, we don't need to initialize. What we need to do is simply move the kernode to its next value. Like what this statement will do is, initially we were basically here. Now we initialize B, or if it's already initialized, we don't initialize. But now we have to update our pointer to here, right? So that we can go on and continue the same process. So this way we have, this is how the insertion works. So one problem with this everything which comes is when we try to search in particular element. So I'll just tell you why this particular code is wrong, and we'll then try to rectify it. So like, is insertion clear? Like even this code and what I explained? Like, can anyone just write yes or no, something? Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, this cur node is also a pointer. Okay, so okay, great. So it's clear. So that's good. So now moving on to why is this particular part wrong? We'll see the searching part and then try to analyze it. So uh, okay, so let's say we have to search whether bat is present or not. So searching is pretty intuitive, right? We go first look at B. Okay, so B is not null. Like if at any point, let's say we were searching for, let's say donkey. So if we are searching for donkey, we'll check for D first. And since we haven't initialized D anywhere in the first letter, so we simply know that it's not present. So not present case is pretty easy, right? So in case of present case, what we'll do is, okay, so B is not null. So we know that, okay, first letter matches, it may or may not be present. We go to A, okay, A is also not null, so it may or may not be present. We go to T, and T is also not null since like we inserted bat, so this must have been initialized to another array of size 26. So we say that B, A, T, both, all three are present. So we can say that, okay, so bat is present, works good, right? And bat is also present. Now let's look at the case of ban. So here we inserted banter, right? So let's say we again start searching for ban. We go for B, then we go for A, then we go for N, and at any point we'll not find a null, right? Since B, A, N, all three were initialized when we were inserting banana or bantner. Like when we were inserting banana, B, A, N, all three would have been initialized. So our conclusion would be, okay, so ban is also present, but that is not the case, right? Since there were some letters ahead of it, and even with bantner also, like ban was never inserted. ban was inserted, but it was never the end of the word. So apart from this structure, we'll also need one more Boolean variable which will indicate whether this particular 26 size array is the end or it's not the end. So if in case we are inserting banana, we insert B, A, N, A, N, A, and in the last A, it will be pointing to another array of size 26, right, which has all the null values. So that particular array will keep its Boolean variable that it is the particular end as true. So that way we know that only in case that a banana comes, only then we return it true, and not for like ban or bana or banan. We don't need to return true for those cases, right? So similarly for bantner also, like when we reach the R array, in that particular array we set the Boolean value to be true. So that way we can ensure that none of the prefixes are actually given as true, which is currently happening. So we'll need another bool, and we'll initialize it with false. Okay, so while we are inserting, so you can see that initially everything has to be kept false except the last current node. So I'll just keep this isn't equal to true. So like it was a small change, right? It should be pretty clear now. So now we'll look for how we'll be searching for a particular word in our try. So if we look for searching, again, I'll just use current node as my root. Now I'll traverse my entire word. This part is similar to what I did above. Now I have the index. Now if let's say current node array index, ये पूरा चीज इंडेक्स है वो, सॉरी मैंने आई लिख रखा है. हाँ, तो if current node का array index is equal to null, so इस case में we can simply say that it is not present. So we'll just make it a Boolean, and we can return false, that we know for sure it's not present. And in case this never happens, so it means that at every point we were getting a non-null value. So in the end, we'll accordingly update cur node array index. Now in the end, if cur node is equal to true, so it means that we have never found a null, and we also have reached the end of word. So in this case, we can write return true. Otherwise, we'll have to return false. So is this part clear? Okay, great. So see, देखो, it's not a very complicated data structure, but because like students don't know about this data structure, so whenever a question comes in internship or placement test, like they have some trouble. But like it's pretty straightforward, right? It's very intuitive, and there's nothing new that you are learning here. It's just a tree and an array of size 26. So uh, okay, so now insertion and searching are clear. So let's discuss a few questions, and like I want you guys to give me like approaches or like whatever you are thinking, and we'll discuss accordingly. So okay, so first question is, let's say we have to count the number of strings. Initially, we are given a set of strings, like here also, we are given banana, bat, boy, cat, and we are given the set of strings. Now, in every query, earlier we were checking whether the string is present or not. Now, what we have to check is whether this particular, like how many strings are there such that they have bat as a prefix. Like we have to give the number of strings that have bat as a prefix. So we'll be given a query string which is a prefix, and we have to tell how many strings are such that they have that particular string as a prefix. So is the question clear, or should I repeat? Okay, so Shrest is saying instead of bool, store the count for each node. Okay. uh, like uh, like all of you guys agree with this approach, right? uh, yeah, like yeah, it's pretty straightforward here right? So what we are doing is, here we are keeping whether the a particular string is the end or not. Now we don't care whether it's the end or not, right? We care like after this how many strings are present. So instead of isn't, we can maintain a count. So whenever uh, like while we are traversing, we can just keep on incrementing the count. So when we have a particular prefix, all we have to do is traverse our try, and the last node that we reach, we just check its count value, and we'll know how many strings are below it. All right, so that was one. So a couple of applications for try is, it is used in sorting of strings. Like it can be used for string sorting. So if you sort it by using any like given algorithm like merge sort or quick sort, so what is the complexity you get for sorting strings? And we assume that m is the length of strings, like order m strings are of order m length, and we have a total of n strings. So what would be the complexity for sorting if we use merge sort or something like that? uh, like m log m is wrong. Like n is the number of strings we have, right? So n log n would obviously be there if we are using merge sort. In if we are doing only order one comparison, n log n would be there. So yeah, so Utsav is saying nm log n. So I think that's correct. So if we see only like sorting of numbers, we know the complexity is n log n, right? Now and the comparison there takes order one time, but here comparison in the worst case can take order m times, since we have to compare m characters, right? So a factor of m will also come into play. So nm log n would be the complexity for sorting strings. Okay, so yeah, so I think everyone is clear with this. So now we have now how now try thinking of like how we can use try to sort strings. We are given a set of strings, so we have to use try, and if you like feel we can improve on the complexity. I'll give you a couple of minutes to think. It's okay. So Utsav is saying construct the try and then traverse, right? So traverse, like which traversal would you use? Okay, in order traversal, or like basically you can say DFS, right? So we are just doing simple DFS from the leftmost node. Yeah, so that's in order traversal, right? After insertion, do a pre-order search. Okay, so like what you all mean is right this, right? So we insert in the try and then starting from A, we go on all, we first cover the left string and then the next string and the next string. So because we have the array from A to Z, so it will be like, obviously it will be sorted when we get the result. So what will be the complexity for this? Like if you consider the worst case. Right. So order nm would be the complexity. So we have improved from nm login to nm. So if we use try for such things, so we can improve the complexity of sorting. Next is another like important application where try is used is autocomplete feature. So like you see on your mobile and all, right? So when you're typing, there are words like based on what you have typed, there are words coming to predict what you're going to type. Like obviously they use a lot more things, but you can implement a basic autocomplete feature using try. So how that will work is you have basically a set of strings, and you like the dictionary which you have, the dictionary of words which will be already given to you, you insert all of them in a try, and then when you are using it for the autocomplete feature, you look at the prefix which has already been typed, and like all the words which can be made using that prefix would be the possibilities. So you can add all other optimizations like whatever you want, but this is a basic autocomplete feature which can be implemented using try. Okay, so one more very interesting question. Like this is a very good uses of try. Like I did this question while I was preparing for my interview, so I think we can discuss this. Okay, so my screen is visible, right? So you can read the question once, and then we can discuss. Mhm. I'll give you a couple of minutes to read the question. Okay, sure.
चैट में लिंक डाल दीजिए ना भैया.
हाँ. सॉल्यूशन मत देखना, अभी बेटर रहेगा. Okay. And yeah, I'll explain the solution right now. Right? So okay, sure. So just read it. Like I'll give you one more minute to read it, then I'll start. Okay. So So basically what the question says is we have to implement a stream checker, and the class has basically two functions. One is the constructor and another is the query. So how the query will come is we will keep on getting letters. So initially we'll be given a set of words. Let's say we can consider these words only: banana, bat, batner, boy, cat. So we are given these words, and what in every query we'll get a particular character. So let's say we have any character from A to Z we'll be getting. So let's say we first got A, then we got a B, then we got a C. So we'll keep on concatenating them and storing them. So we have A, B, C, and so on in our part. So every time we'll have to, what we have to do is we need to find whether there exists some k greater than 1, such that like if we consider the last k letters from left to right. So if we had like initially if we were querying and the characters were coming, A first came, then B came, then C came, then D came. So if we consider k is equal to 4, then we have to check whether this ABCD is present in the initial set of strings or not. Okay, so is the question clear? So we'll be keep on getting these strings, keep on getting these characters, and we need some of the suffix, you can say we need some part of suffix of the current string that we have generated to be present in one of the initial words which we were given. So we have to tell whether this is possible or not. So return value is boolean, you can say. So if I think it will be better clear from this example. Initially we were given these three strings CD, F, and KL. And this is how the query was coming. First A came, then B came, then C came, then D came. So all of these were false, since A is, you cannot construct any suffix of ABCD such that it is CD, F, or KL. Similarly, when E came. Now when F came, we have the current string that we have is ABCDEF, right? The current string that we have. So we looked at k greater than equal to 1. Sorry, I said k greater than 1. It is greater than equal to 1. So if we look at suffix of length 1, which is F, it is present in the initial dictionary that was given to us. So in this case, we return true. Then we get G, then H, then I, J, K, L. So till this point, till K, you can see that there is no suffix of this string which is present in the initial dictionary. But when we get L, we can see that suffix of length 2, which is KL, it is present in the dictionary, right? So in this case, we return true. Like also for CD, we return true. I didn't mention that. Since when CD, the suffix was of size 2, so for suffix of size 2, it is present in the dictionary. So we return true. So I think the question is clear. So anyone has any approach? Okay, no, you already have given approaches. We'll reverse the strings and then make a try. Okay, reverse the strings and construct the timeline query. Okay, so yeah, this approach is absolutely correct. So like for others who didn't get, I'll explain this. So if we look at the brute force solution, what we'll have to do let's say we at the current string that we have is A, B, C, D, E. So we'll first have to check whether E is present in the set of words. Then we'll have to check whether DE is present in the set of words. Then CDE, then B, CDE. So you can see like if the current length is M. So for current length of the query string that we have generated is M. So for each of them, we'll have to traverse these words and check whether it is present or not. So the complexity for each checking would be nm, and we have to do m such comparison. So it will go to nm square, right? So that is like very high given the constraints. We have 2000, so it will go 8 into 10 power 9. So we don't need that. So how we use try in this question is we reverse all the initial strings and then insert in the try. So our try would look something like this. Okay, so we'll have D, then D will be pointing to E, and E will be pointing to an empty array. Then we'll also have what else we have inserted? Okay, sorry, CD we inserted, right? So our try would look like we'll insert the reverse of these. So D and C will insert. Then we'll insert F. F will point to empty. and we have to insert key and L. So we'll insert L and it will point to K and that will point to empty. So this is how a try would look like. So anytime like our query string is coming first, first A came. So right. So A came, then B came, then C came, then D came. So we don't actually need to go to each of the suffix. We can just keep on concatenating and just checking the try with it. So like we have gotten D, C. So we'll just start with D, then go to C, and then we find the empty array, right? So we can say that this is present. But in case of ABC, if we start at C, we'll find a null, right? Since C would be null. This is the array of basically size 26. This is your 26 sized array, and D, F, and L are not null, rest are null. So if you look at ABC, then we'll try to, we just now got C, right? So we look at C, it is null. So we can simply say that it is not, ABC does not have any suffix, which is such that. Then we get D. So we look at D and then C. So after that, we find an empty array. So we can simply return true. So this way the complexity you can see is reduced and we can do it in the given complexity. Okay, so that's all I had for try. So now I think we can move to KMP if none of you have any doubts. Like if you have any doubts, we can discuss the doubts. Okay, so we'll start off with KMP then. So right now, okay, so before we actually move to KMP, I'll discuss one more application of try. So that will allow you to like appreciate the difference between like try and KMP purpose for like, okay, I'll just discuss first. So let's say we are given a string and we have to find whether a particular substring is present in that or not. So like what all approaches you know to do this question. We are given a string and we are also given a particular query string and we have to find whether this query string is present in that original string or not. So what is the complexity of the brute force or like any approach, you know? Like n is the length of the string and m is the length of the query string. So we have to find whether this query string is present in the original string as a substring or not. Okay, so the brute force way would be yes, Shashwat, you're right. So brute force we would take order nm. So when the worst case arises is basically this. So let's say we have, I'll just use this. Yeah. Let's say we have a string AAAB and we have to search for AAB. So this is the n string and this is my query string. So how I'll do is basically I'll first check, okay, A matches with this A, then this A matches with this A, this A matches with this A, oh, and then B won't match with A. So I have already done order M operations and I got that, okay, no, this is not the answer. So then I'll start from this A. So I'll again do, okay, this A matches with this A, second A matches with this, then so similarly you get it, right? Every time I'll have to do order M operations and this I'll have to repeat order n times, right? Until I finally reach here and I say, okay, so this string is present. So the worst case complexity would be order n into m. Now to improve upon this, depending on the type of question, we can either use like try is also one of the solutions or we can use KMP. So let's say first I'll discuss the try approach. So let's say there are a lot of queries are a lot like try we generally use when there are a lot of queries, right? So there are a lot of queries which are coming, and initially we were given a string, and in each of the queries we have to tell whether that string is present or not. So anyone has any approach of how we can use try to solve this? In each query we'll get a string. We have to check whether the initial string which was given to us, whether this string is present as a substring there or not. Okay, yeah. So Dhruv is saying insert every suffix. So yes, so this is another application of try. So let's say we are given this string a, b. What we do is we insert each and every suffix of this string in a try. We'll insert b, then we'll insert ab, then we'll insert aab, then triple ab, then 4 times this. So you get right, and so on. So how this will help in searching for any substring? Now, any like basic idea is that any substring will start at, if it's present, it will start at any of these indexes only, like 0 or 1 or 2 till n minus 1. So if we have inserted all the starting positions in a try, so all we have to do is whenever we get a query string is traverse this try and check whether that particular string is present in the try or not. So you can see that the application of this is very enormous, right? You have to check whether a string is present in, let's say, in a dictionary. You're given a very huge dictionary. Let's say you have all the words, like you're given, let's say, thousands and thousands of, a sentence has thousands of words, and you have to find whether a particular substring is present. And you're getting a lot of queries. So instead of traversing the entire order n string every time, we are actually just doing this search in order m. So if we have to look for a word, let's say boy, in a very large sentence, and if we already have inserted all the prefixes of that, all the suffixes of that sentence in a try, we can do it just in order n. So that way the complexity is hugely reduced. Now, next approach is for searching a substring in a particular string, we use KMP. So KMP improves on the brute force approach by reducing the complexity to order n instead of order nm. So KMP is basically useful when, like, we don't have a question which involves queries. Rather, we just have to check whether a substring is present, only single query. So in that case, we don't have to go through constructing the entire try. Since here you can see that construction of try would require you order n square time, right? So you have to insert every suffix. So that will require order n square time. So we don't need to do that if there's just like 1 or 2 queries. So for that, we use KMP. Now, how KMP works is, before we actually move to KMP, there is one term which is longest common, like longest proper prefix, which is also a suffix. So what this term means is, okay, longest proper prefix, which is also a suffix. Okay. So longest proper prefix, which is also a suffix. So what this term means is, let's take an example of a string. A, B, A, B, C, A. Okay. So this is the string given to me. And so basically what longest proper prefix, which is also a suffix, means is that it is the length of the prefix. And by proper prefix, we mean that if whichever string we are considering, we only have to, we cannot consider the entire string. So if we are given apple, so for the proper prefix would be A, AP, APP, APPL, but apple won't be a proper prefix of apple. So we need the longest proper prefix, which is also a suffix. So let's say we, as of now, we consider just the string A. So A does not have any proper prefix, right? So for A, the longest proper prefix length would be 0. Now next we consider string AB. I'm just considering each and every prefix of this string, okay? So for AB, like for AB, I have to find a prefix which is also a suffix. So it has only one prefix, right? A is the only proper prefix, but it's not a suffix of AB. So here also the longest proper prefix is 0. Okay, so this term is a little confusing, but this is the most important part of KMP. If you understand this, rest all is pretty straightforward. So if you have any doubts, just unmute and ask, okay? Now, we'll look at a few examples. For ABA, if we consider ABA, then you can see that A is a proper prefix, and here in ABA, A is also a suffix. So the length of the longest proper prefix is 1. Let's look at ABAA. So here you can see AB is a prefix, but AB is not a suffix. So, but A is a prefix and A is also a suffix. So here also the length is 1. Now, if we look at ABAAB, so here you can see the longest, when we are considering the longest, AB is a prefix, also AB is a suffix. But if we try to go to length 3, ABA is a prefix, but ABA is not a suffix. So the maximum length which we can get is 2. So I think it's clear, right? So I'll write for the entire string. It will be 0, then 0, 1, 1, 2, then 0. This is corresponding to C. Then for 8 will be again 1, then 2. Then now when we consider this till this point, you can see that ABA is present as a prefix. So here it will go to 3. Then then 4, because ABAA is a suffix and it is also a prefix, and then 0. So are these values clear? We consider so we considered every prefix of the string and tried to find this longest proper prefix, which is also a suffix for every prefix of the string. Like I am using prefix at 2 places to understand the difference. For each of the prefix of the string, I am finding the longest proper prefix, which is also a suffix. Like this line is very important. If it's okay, so this array, this numbered array which we generate, I'll just call it LPS array, which is my longest prefix, proper prefix array. So I'll just call this LPS. So this is basically the pre-processing part that we have to do before we actually move on to KMP. So we'll be given 2 strings, right? So I'll just take another example. This is my n string, and my the string the query string which is given is this. Okay, so I have to find whether this particular string is present in this or not. So how this will work is, for M, I'll first find the LPS. So I'll write what the LPS is. So LPS would be 0. Then we'll consider AB, still 0. Then ABA 1. Then ABAA, it will be 1. And then ABAB, it will be 2. Right? So is the LPS clear? This is, so we have to find the LPS for the query string, not for the initial string which is given to us. Okay, so once we have the LPS, so the basic intuition behind KMP is that we try to look at what extra computation we are doing in the brute force approach. If you look at the brute force approach, we searched all 4 A's, and only at the 4th A we realized that, okay, this A is not matching with this B. But at that point, we also know, right, that all the 3 A's were matching with the 3 A's before. So, but we never use this information. If we were able to use this information, we can directly jump to the next A and compare it with this B, right? If you already know that these 3 A's were matching with the 3 A's in the beginning of M, we don't need to recheck them, which we were doing in the brute force approach. In the brute force approach, we were starting from index I equal to 1 again, right? So this LPS helps us to keep a memory of this information, that what all parts we know for sure will match in the query string. So how we use that is as follows. So we are searching for we are searching for ABAAB in the given string n. So we first, I'm keeping I as my index for n and j as my index for n. So initially I is equal to 0 and j is equal to 0. I compare them, I check, okay, so they both are equal. So I'll move forward. I move to I equal to 1, j equal to 1. Now I again see, okay, so BB are also equal. I move to 2, 2. Then I check again the third one, index 2 also, A is equal to A. Now when I reach index 3, this string has B and this string has A. So here I know that they don't match, but like now I need to use the information so that I don't have to do any recomputation again. So how we'll use this information is, we know the at this like we were checking this index with this, right? So the previous index, which is j is equal to 2, now we see that what is the value of LPS at that particular index. At j is equal to 2, the value of LPS is 1. So what this tells us is that at j is equal to 2, we have a length of one string such that the prefix is exactly equal to the suffix. So we don't need to go back to this particular A and like recheck it, right? We know that it will for sure match. So what we can do is, while we are comparing this, so we know that this particular A will obviously match, right? So we can just skip this and move ahead. So how this will work is, right, so we were here, A is equal to 3 and B is equal to 3, so this does not match. So we decrement j to 1 instead of 0. Like earlier we were moving all the way back to 0, right? Now we only need to move to j is equal to 1. Now how this is helping us is that now we are at I is equal to 3. So we know that this A is matching. So okay, so I'm not okay, 1 second. Okay, so how we are using this LPS is, we know that this A is equal to this A. This is what LPS is giving us, right? This prefix is equal to this suffix. So we know that this particular index is not matching. So we move back not to the first index, rather we move to the second index, since we already know that the third index was matching with the third index of n. Is that clear? So next time we only need to start checking from B and we can simply move forward. Like we compare j is equal to 1 and I is equal to 3. We don't need to go to j is equal to 0 and I is equal to 1. Can you just tell if you understood this or not? Okay. Okay, so, okay, great. So that way the KMP works. I think you'll understand it better if we look at the code for KMP. So this is there are just two functions in KMP. One is the LPS function and one is the actual KMP function. So how LPS function is working is, we get the string S, this is the query string, and we initialize the LPS array. And like every time we know that for the 0th index, LPS value will obviously be 0 because there is no proper prefix existing. Now I is traversing the the I is the particular value which is moving forward from 1, and Q is the LPS index. So basically how we'll be calculating, if you skip this part right now, initially what we do for finding LPS is, if SQ is equal to S of I, we are basically what we are doing is, while finding LPS, we are moving from A to B, then AA, right? So here Q is at A and I is at B, because when we are looking at the string AB, we need to check if B is equal to A or not, right? So I would be at position B and Q would be at position 0. We check these two. Now since they are not equal, like if they would have been equal, let's say my string would have been AA, AAB. So in this case, these two would have been equal. So what we simply had to do was, initially the value would be 0, the second value would be 1. So Q is basically denoting my LPS value, right? So I increment q. If both are equal, all I need to do is increment q. So if my string would have been something like uh, a, so here my LPS value would go like this, right? There would be, here you can see that one length prefix is matching, then you can see that two length prefix is matching. Then if we consider this string, then a proper prefix of length 3 is matching with the suffix of length 3. So that's why it's incrementing linearly. So if we had just a single character string, you can see that this part will work correctly. Now what happens if we find a mismatch, right? That we have to look into. So if we find a mismatch, that's where this part comes into play. We need to keep going back until we find a particular index which matches. So up until the point we don't reach 0, we keep going back and keep on checking again and again whether SQ is equal to S of I. So at any point we get SQ is equal to S of I, we stop. And up until we are not getting, we keep on moving to the previous LPS value. So let's look somewhere from here. At this point we had the LPS value of 2, right, till this particular point. So here we saw that LPS value was 2, so my q was at this index and my I was at this index. Okay, so what I'll do is, now I'll have to check whether my q index is equal to my I index. So yes, they are equal. So what I'm doing is I'm incrementing this 2 to 3 and moving forward. Then again I check this particular A with this particular A, and since they are also equal, I increment the value to 4. Now when I reach the next, my q is present at this point and my I is present at this point. So what I have to do is I compare them. Okay, they are not equal. So at which point should I go now? I'll go to the LPS value of the previous one. Since I know that B is not matching, so I'll take the LPS value of A. So LPS value of A is, you can see, 1. So I know that 1 A is definitely matching. So I'll just go to basically I'll just go to B and try comparing B. Now even B is also not equal to C, so that way my Q will come to 0 and I'll come out of this loop. Here also Q won't get incremented, so the value of LPS will remain as 0. Okay, so this is how the LPS is calculated. I think it is clear now, right? Coming to KMP, the mean algorithm part. Okay, so see, it works exactly similar to how we found the LPS. All we have to do is this A is my initial string, and this B is my query string, and I have the LPS array given to me, which I pre-computed. So the only difference that comes in KMP and calculation of LPS is this, that while we are moving back, we compare B of Q with A of I. So I compare my query string with my initial string, and if till the point they're coming out to be equal, all I have to do is increment Q, right? And whenever my Q is the index for the query string, it reaches the length of the query string, I know that I have found my substring, so I can just print the index where I'm finding that substring, and accordingly I can move Q to the LPS value of the previous index. So is this clear? I'm not sure that I explained it very well, but if you have any doubts, like, I'll explain again if it's not clear. See, the LPS thing is like, it's little confusing, and not confusing, it's difficult to explain and understand also. So if that part is not clear, I explain it again and explain KMP again. Like, we have time. So, okay. हाँ ठीक है, एग्जाम्पल्स कर लेते हैं थोड़ा सा. एक बार मैं ना कोड रन करके दिखा देता हूँ थोड़ा कि काम कैसे कर रहा है, फिर एक बार। सो यू सी दैट वी आर बेसिकली प्रिंटिंग कि किस किस इंडेक्स पे ये वैल्यू मिल रही है। तो 0th इंडेक्स पे ए बी मिला था और 7th इंडेक्स पे हमें ए बी मिला था। तो इस एग्जाम्पल का आई थिंक ड्राई रन कर ले एक बार पूरा, तो क्लियर हो जाएगी चीज़ें। मैं काम करता हूँ यहाँ पर ही प्रिंट कर देता हूँ। ठीक है। ठीक है, तो देखो उसका तो आई थिंक क्लियर हो गया होगा कि एलपीएस कैसे निकल रहा है बेसिकली। इसका तो चली था इसका केएमपी का एक बार डिस्कस करते हैं। So initially we had I and Q both are 0. So we are currently at index 0 of this and this. Q represents the index for the query string. Now we see that since both of them are equal, we enter this position and Q is incremented. So now Q is 1 and I is anyways incremented at the end every time. And since Q is not equal to B dot size yet, we don't have to do anything. So next time we enter the loop, I and Q both are 1. So we have to compare this B and this B. So if you see for the first time, so BB are also equal, then AA are also equal, AA are also equal, BB is also equal. So for the first 5 characters, all of them are equal. And when we reach this particular position, Q is set to 5 and we know that it is equal to B dot size. So we have found our string. So we print the 0, indicating that this is the index where we start our substring. And what we do next is we move back. Okay, so again, we don't need to recompute everything, right? So we we follow a similar approach and we move back to the LPS of the previous index. How this is helping is that if when we are moving to the LPS of the previous index, that value is denoting that if the LPS of previous index is, let's say, 5, so we know that first 5 characters of prefix are same as the suffix. So we don't need to check those prefix since that suffix was already matching, right? We know that all these 5 characters, which are basically currently the suffix, are already matching. So we don't need to rematch them with the string, right? So we go to the LPS value of the previous index and see, I am not doing +1 here since indexing starts from 0. So since indexing is starting from 0, the count is actually giving me just the next index which I have to check now. If the indexing would have been starting from 1, I actually have to do +1. Basically, I have to skip these many characters. Whatever is the LPS value, I have to skip those many characters since I already know those characters will match for sure since suffix and prefix are same there. If the LPS value is 4, I know that though the last 4 characters and the first 4 characters are same, and since I've already matched those last 4 characters, I don't need to match those first 4 characters again. So I can just simply go to the 5th character. So 5th character is basically index 4, so that's why I'm updating q to LPS of q minus 1. So now we move ahead, and we now so LPS of ABAA. So for this particular index, the LPS value is 2, right? So we go on and update Q to 2, and I is simply moving ahead. So I is 5. So I5 is basically C, and Q2 is basically A. So now see, this is how KMP is helping us, right? We didn't check whether AB will match or not. Since AB and AB were common here, we simply skip these two AB and just go on and compare the next C. So this is where the KMP is saving us on the time complexity. So now since we see that A and C are not equal, we enter this particular loop, and like it's similar to what I told here. We keep on moving to the LPS value of the previous index. So accordingly, we see that like when we come here, the value of Q is basically coming out to be like Q becomes 0 after one iteration only, and we just move out of the loop. And since Q is 0, even at that point, BQ and AI are not matching. Since AI is 6 and BQ is A. So AI is C and BQ is A. So C and A are not matching, so we don't enter here, and we simply move on to the next iteration. So this is, I think, clear now, right? So we simply go ahead, and next time we check for A and A which are matching. So we don't enter this loop. We come here, we increment Q, and then move ahead, and same process is repeated. And finally, at when like we reach the end, we see that Q is equal to B, and we print the value and update Q accordingly. I think dry run helped, right? ओके हाँ, तो एक क्वेश्चन करें क्या इस पे थोड़ा, मतलब इसका थोड़ा केएमपी के देखो यूज तो मेनली समझ रहे हो ना, जहाँ भी whenever you have to find whether a substring is present or not, instead of using an NM approach, you use N approach. Like if you look at questions जहाँ पर कोड फोर्सेस का आई थिंक सी या डी लेवल से स्टार्ट होता है केएमपी, सो डिवीजन 2 की बात कर रहा हूँ. सो दैट वे यू विल सी दैट एन और एम अगर तुम्हें दोनों 10^5 दिया हुआ है तो दिख जाता है क्वेश्चन में कि केएमपी लगाना ही पड़ेगा. तो उस टाइप, सो ऑल दी like applications where we have to find a substring, so KMP is a straightforward optimization. So there was this one very interesting question, like I had bookmarked it. I'll open it. Yes, so I'll send, no, I won't send the link actually, I'll just copy paste the question since the solution is here only. You can read it here or you can read it in the chat. If you want, you can see the example from here. I'll explain the question in a couple of minutes. एंड आई थिंक इट विल हेल्प कि तुम लोग ना केएमपी का कोड एक बार लिख लेना इस क्लास के बाद, उससे थोड़ा हो मतलब क्लैरिटी आ जाएगी. केएमपी का कोड एक दो बार लिखोगे ना तो उससे फिर पूरी क्लैरिटी आ जाती है कि कौन सा पार्ट क्या कर रहा है. इसका अगर ब्रूट फोर्स अप्रोच आ रहा है तो ब्रूट फोर्स ही बता दो, मतलब क्या सोच रहे हो उसमें बता दो. मैं पहले क्वेश्चन एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ. So we have to find if a given string can be represented from a substring by iterating the substring n times. So what this question means is, let's say we are given a string ABC, ABC, ABC. So we have to find whether there exists any substring such that we keep on concatenating it n times and we get the original string. So here you can see that ABC is a substring which is concatenated 3 times to get ABC, ABC, ABC. So the output is true. But in case ABCD, ABC, here you cannot have any substring. Like if you try to take substring ABC and repeat it 2 times, so that is not possible, right? So I think one good observation, like you can see here, is that if there are distinct characters and the string is a prime number, like you cannot anyways have any string which is repeating multiple times, right? Since prime number does not have any factor except 1. So ABC के सभी indices निकाल लो using KMP, then check if A plus len एक बार सोच लो तुम आदित्य, मेरे को एग्जैक्टली समझ नहीं आया तो थोड़ा
लाइक अभी एक आपने कोड रन किया था ना जिसमें दिखाया था एट इंडेक्स 0 एंड इंडेक्स 7 हमें मिला था, तो वो कोड रन कर लो एबीसी के लिए, लाइक व्हाटएवर स्ट्रिंग के लिए, और फिर वो वेक्टर में एग्जिस्ट करने चाहिए ना।
नहीं, पर तुझे एबीसी का पता नहीं है ना, कुछ भी हो सकता है ना, मतलब तुझे स्ट्रिंग दी हुई है, कोई भी
सबस्ट्रिंग पे केएमपी लगा दूंगा छोटे वाली स्ट्रिंग पे।
छोटी वाली स्ट्रिंग तुझे दी नहीं हुई ना, तुझे बस एक स्ट्रिंग दी हुई है एबीसी एबीसी एबीसी, तुझे ये नहीं पता कि एबीसी इसका पार्ट है जो तुझे उठाना है। तुझे एबीसी नहीं दिया होगा, तुझे बस एक ये स्ट्रिंग दिया हुआ है, तुझे खुद डिटेक्ट करना है कि इसका कौन सा छोटा पार्ट लेके मैं रिपीट करूं मल्टीपल टाइम्स तो ये स्ट्रिंग बन जाए।
ओके, अच्छा ठीक है, आप समझे क्वेश्चन।
सोच लो इस पे 5 मिनट, फिर एक बार डिस्कस करते हैं। So for each factor x of length word, prefix of length x ढूंढना है। बेसिकली तू कह रहे सारे फैक्टर्स निकाल लो, उस फैक्टर की स्ट्रिंग को देख लो वो मल्टीपल टाइम्स रिपीट हो रही है या नहीं।
हाँ, मतलब उसकी केएमपी लगा के फिर वो सेट ऑफ इंडाइसिस जो होंगे।
अच्छा, ऑर्डर एन में करना है देते।
अच्छा, स्क्वायर रूट एन क्यों? तो रेड कोडर्स के लिए ना, रेड कोडर्स के लिए। हाँ तो मैं तो नॉर्मली, हाँ पर उसके भी प्रीफिक्स निकालने पड़ेंगे। हाँ तो और एन हो गया, तो एन स्क्वायर ही हो गया मेरा तो।
अरे
हर
तो
फैक्टर के
आदित्य,
लिए एन।
केएमपी की क्या ही जरूरत है ना तेरे को। तू समझ रहे ना, तू बस फैक्टर निकाल रहे है, तू उतने की स्ट्रिंग ले रहे है और तू बस देख रहा है वो रिपीट हो रही है उतने टाइम्स इन। तेरे को केएमपी, हाँ।
हैशिंग वाला तरीका तो नहीं देखना चाहिए मैं, लाइक
नहीं यार, हैशिंग को वर्स्ट केस वही मान, मतलब चल तू बता क्या सोच रहा है।
कोई जो फैक्टर है, फैक्टर के साइज की जो है प्रीफिक्स स्ट्रिंग, उसका हैश कैलकुलेट कराओ, और फिर बीच में सब स्ट्रिंग का जो हैश का फॉर्म होता है ना, मतलब वो निकाल कर फिर उसको, मतलब हैशिंग का होती है ना, मतलब हाँ, बीच
अच्छा
में
वो,
सब स्ट्रिंग का भी है, तो उस इंडेक्सेस में जा जाकर चेक कर लो कि हर का हैश सेम आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है।
मतलब ये तो वो कौन सा होता है एल्गोरिथम, केएमपी दूसरा नाम क्या होता है उसका? राबिट का, राबिन का। हाँ, तो वो कह रहे हैं ना। हाँ, बट हाँ वही वही हैश वाले को उसको वो नहीं मानते ना। वर्स्ट केस देखेगा तो तेरे को हैश अगर सेम है तो कंपेयर करना ही पड़ेगा ना स्ट्रिंग।
हाँ,
बट इससे भी तू वो सोच, तेरे को ऑर्डर एन तो जाना ही पड़ेगा ना, तू इंडेक्सेस पे भी जा रहे है तो फैक्टर अगर के है तो एन बाई के इंडेक्सेस पे तो जाना ही पड़ेगा ना तेरे को।
हाँ। हम्म।
2-3 मिनट और सोच लो, फिर मैं सॉल्यूशन बताता हूँ। इसके आगे मेरे पास कुछ है नहीं, मतलब तो अगर सोच लो इस पर 2-3 मिनट, फिर डिस्कस कर। 25 पे डिस्कस करते हैं, 2 मिनट और सोच लो। देखो मतलब इसमें ना थोड़ा वो वैसे है कि एग्जैक्टली मतलब जो एलपीएस एरे तुम बनाते हो ना, उसको यूज करना है, तो उसमें मैं ट्राई करो सोचना। चलो कर लेते हैं डिस्कस। बेसिकली देखो, जैसे हमें कोई भी स्ट्रिंग दी हुई है, ठीक है, तो इसका हम एलपीएस देखते हैं क्या होगा। तो एलपीएस की बात करें तो इसका आखिरी इंडेक्स पे 6 होगी एलपीएस की वैल्यू, क्योंकि ये तुम देखो कि फर्स्ट 6 कैरेक्टर्स जो प्रीफिक्स है और लास्ट 6 कैरेक्टर सफिक्स। मैं पूरा एरे नहीं बना रहा, वो तो मतलब चलो बना ही देता हूँ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। 0 0 0 1 2 3 देन 4 5, ठीक। तो ये आएगा अपना एलपीएस एरे। तो आखिरी वाली वैल्यू देखो तो अपना जो लॉन्गेस्ट प्रीफिक्स है, जो सफिक्स भी है, वो 6 है। तो इसका मतलब हम क्या कह सकते हैं कि ये 6 कैरेक्टर इन 6 कैरेक्टर के बराबर है। तो अब ये देखो कि अपनी कैरेक्टर की लेंथ 9 है, तो जितना अपना बचता है साइज 9 - 6 3। मतलब मैं पहले सॉल्यूशन बताता हूँ, फिर उसके एक्सप्लेनेशन बताता हूँ। तो हमें बस ये चेक करना है कि ये जो 3 है ये 9 का फैक्टर है या नहीं। अगर ये 9 का फैक्टर है तो आंसर ट्रू होगा, और अगर ये फैक्टर नहीं है तो आंसर फॉल्स होगा। अब इसकी एक्सप्लेनेशन देखें तो ऐसे कह सकते हैं, देखो जैसे तुम्हारे एबीसी 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 है और तुम्हें पता है इसकी वैल्यू 6 है इस पॉइंट पे एलपीएस की वैल्यू। तो तुम ये 6 कैरेक्टर उठा रहे हो और तुम कह रहे हो ये 6 कैरेक्टर इस 6 कैरेक्टर के बराबर है। तो तुम ऐसे ब्रेक कर सकते हो ना कि तो तुम्हें अब एक रेपिटेशन मिल रही है ना कि पहले 3 जो है इस 3 के बराबर होंगे, अगले 3 जो है वो इस 3 के बराबर होंगे। तो ये जो 3 वाला पार्ट है, अगर ये तुम्हारा 9 से डिविजिबल है तो तुम्हें पता चल गया ना कि ये तुम्हारा इसी को रिपीट करने पे तुम्हारी पूरी स्ट्रिंग बन जाएगी, क्योंकि ये प्रीफिक्स और सफिक्स ओवरलैप कर रहे हैं। तो जो उसका फर्स्ट पार्ट है, वो जो उसके पहले 3 कैरेक्टर बेसिकली वो उसके अगले 3 के बराबर होंगे, जो उसके फिर पहले 3 है वो उसके अगले 3 के बराबर होंगे। तो समझ रहे हो ये लॉजिक की क्यों इस चीज से हमें बस ये चेक करने की जरूरत है, जो एलपीएस की वैल्यू है उसको हम लेंथ में से सबट्रैक्ट करें तो ये वैल्यू बस हमें चेक करनी है 9 का फैक्टर है या नहीं। वो तो ऑर्डर 1 में हो ही जाएगा बस मॉड यूज करना। सही है ना, ठीक है, समझ गए ना। ठीक है, तो अच्छा किसी ने अप्रोच भी बताई थी, सॉरी। ठीक है ना, अब कुछ है डाउट वगैरह तो बताओ, वरना क्लास को एंड करते हैं। क्लास क्या, जो भी बोलना बोलो। सेशन, हाँ। अरे मैं ये लिंक भेज देता हूँ, ये जीएफजी पे, मतलब आई थिंक मुझसे बेटर ही एक्सप्लेन हो जाएगा। ठीक है, अच्छा ठीक है, ठीक।
तेजस खैरनार, तुमने जी का नाम नहीं लिया बाय द वे इसमें। आई एम काइंड ऑफ
हाँ ठीक है यार। मतलब जी भी कर सकते हो, मतलब जी एल्गोरिथम करके भी एक होता है, वो यूज करके भी, मतलब वो केएमपी से इजी है इम्प्लीमेंट करना और समझना भी। और हैवन कर। हाँ। अच्छा मैं किस क्या बोल रहा है तू मेरे को किसका? अच्छा मैंने नहीं KMP और Z तो इंटर कन्वर्टेबल है ना? नहीं इंटर कन्वर्टेबल है, दोनों को कन्वर्ट कर सकता है तो।
Z तो वही है ना, प्रीफिक्स फंक्शन ही लिखते हैं बट 2 स्ट्रिंग्स होती हैं, लाइक 2 स्ट्रिंग्स के रिस्पेक्ट में प्रीफिक्स एक का और सब।
अरे नहीं मतलब Z और KMP कन्वर्ट कर सकते हो, मैंने किया था एक बार। अभी हाँ तो ये नीचे वाला सिमिलर ही है, ये Z से शायद ज्यादा इंट्यूटिव होता है नीचे वाला।
बाय द वे सेम चीज सीपी आल्गो पे भी दी हुई है जी के उसमें। ये जो तुम्हारा आखिरी में क्वेश्चन हो ना, जब जी फंक्शन का खोलोगे ना बेसिकली तो तुम्हें लाइक उसी आर्टिकल के एकदम एंड में मिल जाएगा। हाँ यही, जब ब्राउनी ने शो ऑफ किया था ना तो मैंने वही देखा, अच्छा यहाँ से देखा था।
मैं यार उस वक्त नहीं देखा था यार, ठीक है चल छोड़ो।
ठीक है फिर अगर
और कुछ भी पूछना है किसी को, मतलब कोडिंग के रिगार्डिंग ही वैसे भी पूछना है। हाँ ठीक है चलो, थैंक यू, बाय।
भैया भैया मेरे को डाउट था आपसे, एक अलग गूगल मीट क्रिएट करता हूँ।
भैया आई हैव और से भी